Mauritians for a wonderful session. So that was a fantastic session of karma. We'll have a bit of an overlap on that topic that we are discussing today. The mind and the senses, right? End of the day, everything that we do is a karma, and even a thought is considered as a karma when we choose to energize it. So we're going to discuss that in more detail today, and also we're going to discuss about the toys that we keep finding. We all love toys, and adults are no different than kids, and we'll go into that topic as well. So welcome again, everyone. We have a hard stop at 10, so I will quickly peruse through our opening prayers, and maybe a few hands will pick up for the shloka and then really get into the topic of our discussion today. So let me share my screen, share sound as well, and then we'll get started. Very warm welcome to all of you. We'll get started with our opening prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right, Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. Very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. Let's get started. I picked up 2.61. We are getting closer to our 2.63 shloka, which is going to lay the foundation. What we are doing is it's laying the foundation for anger aspect of it, which is one of the generals of Maya, one of the chief generals of Maya, so to say. But we are tilling the ground right now, leading up to that. So let's get started. I'm going to recite it and we'll pick up a few hands today. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasya indriyani tasya pragya pratisthita. Okay, do we have any volunteers? Maybe we can pick up 5 hands today. Top 5 hands. Especially if you have kept your camera on, your probability of getting picked increases by 200%.
Radhe
Radhe.
Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita.
Wonderful, Samji. Very nice. Radhe Radhe. I see Devashish has turned on his video. Very nice. Thank you, Devashish. All right, let's pick a few more hands.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasya indriyani tasya pragya pratisthita.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya. All right, let's pick up a few more hands.
Uday Kumar ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. I see Sai Ramji has turned on his video, so let's. Yes, Sai Ramji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita.
Very nice, Sai Ramji. Radhe Radhe. Let's pick up maybe a couple more and then we'll get started.
Yeah.
I think Sumesh ji had turned on his video as well.
Yeah.
All right,
Sumesh
that's your prerogative. Whichever one you want to pick up, please go ahead. 2 more will pick up.
Sundar Kumar ji, Radhe Radhe.
Surendra ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Prabhu, thank you. Tani sarvani sanyam ya yukta asit matparaha vashehi yasyendriyani tasya pragya pratisthita. Radhe Radhe.
Wonderful. Very nice. Radhe Radhe. One more hand and then we get started. We have some content to cover and a stop as well. So,
सुमेश जी
Radhe everyone.
Radhe,
Sorry. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Tani sarvani samyamya yukta asita matparaha vasehi yasyendriyani tasya pragya pratisthita.
Thank you.
Radhe
So let's
Radhe.
get started. So remaining hands we'll try to pick up tomorrow. We have some content to cover and a hard stop. So we'll proceed now. In this shloka, Lord Krishna is saying they are established in perfect knowledge who subdue their senses and keep their minds ever absorbed in me. Straightforward, he's saying, who subdue their senses and keep their minds ever absorbed in me, right? Seems like a very tough ask. We'll break it down and let's get started on this one. So today we are going to talk about the toys that we refuse to grow out of. Okay, we refuse. We will not let go of these toys. And what are those toys? Each one of us have their own set of toys that we like to indulge, play with, or get engrossed in. So let's get started. Now, you see the kids here. They play with certain type of toys. Now somebody asks you to play with that. Now will you enjoy playing with it? But look at the kids, how they play with it, how engrossed they are, and they are thoroughly enjoying that process. If we have a little one, you try to take him out of his playtime and see what happens. You know, the kind of tantrums they would throw. They just don't want to get out of it because they love it. It captivates their imagination and keeps them engrossed throughout. Okay, now let's look at it, what happens. Right? See, whenever you meet a kid, right, elders have this habit of saying, you know, you have grown up. So the kid has to say that as if I had a choice, right? So then what happens? Now they've grown up. Now they like, you know, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, playing video games. Some people pick up yoga and stuff like that as well. Good toys as well. Okay, toys are not necessarily indulgent. So then the toys, the nature and quality and the type of toys, it changes. Then what happens? Then they grow further. Okay, now their toys are becoming a little more interesting, right? Partying and, you know, socializing that has started. That becomes the order of the day. So the toys are changing. There's a lot of improvisation that is happening in the toys. So we know the graduation that is happening gradually. If you look at it from this standpoint, this is how you started off, then this is where you ended up with, and then you continue picking up newer and newer toys, the source of entertainment for yourself. And then furthermore, as you start growing, you know, there are different toys you keep on adding. You start going for excursions, tours, travels. Some people start indulging in, you know, reading good books, forming associations. Some start playing golf and other things, right? So point is, your mind has to find something that can captivate it or keep it interested. So if you look at it, they are essentially, if you look at the process, what's happening here is, now our senses, they need basically the toys, they keep on getting substituted. And when it gets substituted, you discard the previous one and adopt the new ones. That's typically how the process goes. And the reason for that is our senses, they need a higher, better taste for it to discard the older tastes. That is how we are designed. Unless you get a better taste, you will not discard something. That is how it goes. So one is you get a better taste. That's one way of discarding the old toy. The other crude way of forcing you out of a toy is, that's what it's called God's grace. At times it intervenes, which we call as God is upset or something bad happening to us in life. So when you go back all the way to the initial toys that we play with, let's imagine a kid is playing with a toy and it's time for the kid to have his milk or his food. But the kid is so engrossed that he just wants to have toy and have fun. The mother knows that it's not in the best interests of the kid to continue to indulge in toys and playtime alone. So sometimes what does she do? What she does is she snatches that toy, right? She snatches away that toy so that the kid gets the realization that, there are other important things that need his attention, and they need to study, or they need to eat, or their attention is required for something much better. It's If you keep on indulging in playtime, just in the toys that you are there, that is not good for you in long run. Okay, kid won't understand that. Mother knows that, and mother does the job of snatching that toy away from him to get him to the line, what is needed. Similarly, when we are so hung up in playing with our toys when we grow up, and we think that is the be all and end all of everything, sometime God has to intervene. Okay, so our concept of God's grace is Sukh Sampatti Ghar Aave Kasht Mite Tanka. Om Jai Jagdish Hare, right? While from God's standpoint, He celebrates when we cut a corner with respect to our inner growth. That is why He had put us here to begin with. And sometimes He has to intervene and He snatches that toy away, which we say, oh my God, what happened? But nothing happened. It is actually needed for you. It's just like that mother which is snatching away that toy from you because you are so engrossed. You have forgotten the big picture around why you are here. So sometimes God's grace intervenes in that way, right? There's a beautiful bhajan from Maharaji. Teri kripa to hai kripa pyari, tera kop bhi kripa hai pyari. Kripa karu barasane wali, teri kripa ka bharosa bhari. So cope is also kripa of God because we are so hung up in our toys. And it's a self-introspective activity to identify what are my secret toys. Okay, we all have our toys that we want to play with, we want to indulge in, and we find very hard to let go of. So God says, all right, you want to play Ghar Ghar, continue playing Ghar Ghar, I'll keep you repeating here. Okay, that is a glorified or a sophisticated way of playing Ghar Ghar only. Nothing else. We are adults who refuse to grow up because we are so hung up in this whole drama that unfolds around us lifetime after lifetime. Okay. Tomorrow we'll discuss a more important concept, by the way. You say those, what do I do? Give up attachment? Do nothing? No, of course not. God is not saying that. There's a concept of detached attachment we'll talk about tomorrow, right? So I hope that's making sense. And how do you inculcate taste for these toys? Through your senses. If you look at any toy, it's catering to your senses only. Whether you are touching, feeling, tasting, those kind of toys. If you look at all these activities, you are actually catering to one of your senses. Either you are deriving delight from seeing sceneries. If you are freak, travel freak, that is also catering to your senses. Nothing more than that. It's better than drinking your way to glory with friends, right? Going out on a mountain and enjoying. You have picked up the lesser, it's much better than doing the other part, but it is still sensory indulgement that you are there. Nothing more than that. So the quality, nature, and type of our toys keep on changing as we grow up, and we refuse to part with those toys. Sometimes, like mother, God has to intervene and snatch those toys, which we call at, oh my God, what has happened? We cry our heart out and this and that. But actually, it is a mercy of God, because only because of that, you will be forced to seek the higher purpose in life, or even seek, why am I here? Or how can I get out of this misery? If a misery, when a toy is snatched away from you, troubles you, then it should trouble you as much as it troubled Buddha. There you say, okay, how do I get out of this misery itself? It should not be limited to just removing your own misery by getting the toy back, right? Or getting a better toy. So that is how it needs to be understood actually in big picture, from a big picture standpoint. Now let's move on. So sublimation is basically, now we have spoken about this concept, right? It's a chemistry concept where the hard substance or matter, it goes into a vapor or a gaseous state without going into the intermediate liquid state, right? Now sublimation process is what is recommended, because in this shloka God is said, ever absorbed in me. Now how are you going to absorb your mind in God? We have layers and layers and layers of world in our head, right? Let's look at this concept a little bit. So this is our antakaran. Antakaran is basically our mind or heart. Okay. Antakaran is something that we inherit from multiple lifetimes. And that is something that continues with us, persists with us from lifetime to lifetime. So whatever your quality of your mind is, unless we have worked on it, it will not improve all by itself. Okay? It will remain with you. So your homework of cleaning it remains always. Antakaran technically has 4 components to it. Your mind, man, buddhi, chit and ahankar. So it is impure right now. Okay, so let's say it's impure. Okay, so now the agenda or the purpose of life is to cleanse it. Because once you cleanse it, that's when God can give divine love to you. That is his rule. He cannot put it in a dirty antakaran, because if it puts it, then first of all, you will not be able to tolerate it and you will just disintegrate. So the purpose will not be served of giving you what would have actually benefited you. So let's say you are working on it. Now purification of mind, as you see, it becomes a little more clearer, right? Maybe in one of the lifetimes you invested your time wisely, aligning to spiritual principles, more clean, and it became clean, pure, and that's the job is done. That is what you need. Okay, from that color to all the way up to right. Then your heart is that is the whole purpose of spirituality. The day you reach that state, your heart start glowing with purity. The purpose of life is served. Nothing else is needed. You have served the purpose of the scriptures also. Everything is served at that point. However, the process for that goes like this. Right? We are under the sway of gunas. So you go from tamas to rajas to sattva, and beyond that is gunatit. So your senses indulgement also has to transcend that. That is the only way. How would you transcend that is the question, big question, right? We'll look at that as well. Now, because if you continue to indulge your senses in tamas, rajas and sattva, in these 3 categories only, they will fall into this category. You are basically rotating around in your dharma, the worldly stuff, okay, which could fall into 4 categories. Okay, 3 or 4 categories. Basically, you are doing either vikaram, where you are doing the negative things based on where you are indulging your senses in, or you are doing karam, where you are doing the regular stuff, but God is not there yet, or you do karam yoga, or you do karam sannyas. You are just operating at that level. And then the next one is the gunatit, which is called paradharma. So karam yoga is essentially mixing your dharma with paradharma. You're doing your dharma, you're doing your duties. So if I were to put it in 4 categories, this is how it goes. One is your bodily dharma, where you're catering to senses alone. That is the lowest category. Okay, forget about dharma. All you take care about is your body at that point. Okay, that is the lowest category. Then you start bringing in your body as well as your soul part of it, right? So forget about the soul. So you are catering only to your senses, which becomes your karma. Karmi is now doing things in accordance with the injunctions of scriptures. Now they have started taking care of their body as per the duties or the injunctions that are given. Do not steal, become a good person, do charity and all that stuff. But God is still not there. Then that starts becoming karma. And then when you start doing it for the sake of God, then you are adding the soul aspect, paradharma aspect to it as well. That becomes karam yoga. And finally, when it's like a state, I can talk about that concept later on. When you start indulging your senses purely for God, you are no longer obligated to do your bodily duties, then it becomes gunatit. So the point here is your senses also, if you are indulging your senses in the worldly things, then you are operating in one of these 3 gunas. Only when you start dovetailing your senses towards God, that's when this antakaran will move from left to right. That needle will start moving. Till that point, the needle will not move. It will always remain impure. The fraction may reduce, but you are going forward, backward, right? Yesterday we saw that visual on Kunjar Shochavat. We spoke about it, right? You may clean it a little bit, but you'll dirty it back. Or you'll clean it more and then dirty it little, or you'll clean it less and dirty it more. So that cycle keeps on repeating. until you understand the higher principle where your senses, end of the day, those your senses have to serve the senses of God. That becomes gunatit. It's like he's the supreme enjoyer. It's a very difficult concept to understand, right? But the Karma Yoga is the practice, stepping stone to that, where any activity and every activity that you do is actually directed towards God. Okay. Now you may be thinking, if I do that, am I going to lose all the pleasure and fun that I get, all the enjoyment? That it's not, doesn't work that way. It is counterintuitive, but it is said when you start aligning to those principles, what God gives you in return is much higher at that point. Like that bhajan we were singing the other day, right? लेने वाला बड़ा भोला भाला ब्रज के रसिकों में शामिल नहीं है. And then in the case of God, he said, basically when you give it to God, he's not tangdil. Okay, he's not tangdil means he's not miserly or stingy in that sense. First of all, he doesn't need anything from us, right? The three attributes of God are Atmarati, Atmakrida, and Atmaram. So he doesn't need anything plus from our side to make himself complete. He's already complete in himself. But when we offer that, our senses back to his enjoyment, we try to, and it's just a tweak of mind, nothing else. It's not like you have to do something and then go to God and say, okay, I'm putting it in your food. And then if you do it in your mind, that is good enough. Then what you get in return is much higher. But in order for us to get to that state, it takes practice and faith, right? Where you say, all right, God, I'm actually going to indulge my senses in your service and for your pleasure. That state of mind would actually automatically propel you towards that state that God is talking about, that ever absorbed in me. If you look at the shloka, is saying only the person who's ever absorbed in me is the one who can transcend that, right? And even that statement in Bhagavad Gita that Lord Krishna talks about sarveshu kaleshu. So sarveshu kaleshu is the state we have to reach. And only when your senses, you give up the pleasures for your senses and start aligning, having that picture in mind that it eventually has to align to God's will we start getting closer to that state. Let's hear a lecture and get it into. I know it doesn't make sense to begin with, but let's hear this lecture. Let me know if you're able to hear the audio or not. Are you able to hear the audio?
Who have reads? Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Let me play that and then you can check. I'm going to play it from a place where. All right, let's watch it.
So Sri Krishna explained Arjun, that person who is self-realized is beyond hankering and lamentation, and he is free from desire, anger, and fear. So he is going on. How does that sage reach such a state? By getting a higher taste, by getting the taste of God. So when the soul experiences the higher bliss of God, the soul naturally becomes detached from the lower bliss of the world. And when you are attached to God, you will develop the desire for God. See, it's not that the God-realized saints were not desiring. Their desire was millions of times more intense than ours. But it was diverted towards Sri Krishna. Because they had contemplated there is happiness there. So mind had got attached to God. So they were desiring God. And that desire for God will not dirty the mind. It will purify the mind. Because the object of desire is all pure. The desire is not wrong. Desire is the quality of the soul. Only thing is, understand what to desire. So that is where the intellect, the discrimination comes. So you desire God and the mind will get purified. As one saint said, Ya anuragi chitta ki गति समझे नहीं कोय, ज्यों ज्यों डूबे श्याम रंग, त्यों त्यों उज्ज्वल होय. The more the color of Shyam Sundar falls on your mind, the more your mind will become sparkling and resplendent. So further elaborating, Sri Krishna is saying that Arjun, those persons will be considered established in knowledge, who have subdued their senses and who have restrained their minds. Now, restrain the mind. Restrain the mind from anger, from lust, from greed, from attachment. Those who have restrained the mind from there, they will be considered enlightened. So how do we know that? See, like for example, if we say, does anybody have anger? Is anybody displaying anger right now? Nobody is displaying anger. So is everybody beyond anger? Not at all. Nobody is beyond anger. There is no cause for anger at present. When the cause comes, then that monstrous anger shows its universal form. So, the enlightened sage will be such when there is cause for attachment, anger, fear, envy, yet the sage remains dispassionate from it. And the enlightened Buddha is the example. One person came to the Buddha and started abusing him. For no reason. Khala binu swaratha para apakari ahi mushak iva sunu urgari. The Ramayana says there are all kinds of people in this world. There are those who will feed themselves, they will also feed you. These are the good people. There are those who will go hungry to feed you. These are the saintly people. There are those who will snatch your plate to feed themselves. These are the evil people. And there are those who for no reason will take pleasure in making you go hungry. These are the demoniac people. So there are all kinds of people. He gives the example of the hail. It falls and destroys the crop of the farmer. The hail doesn't get anything. The farmer's crop is destroyed. And the mouse, it comes and tears, eats your cloth, destroys your winter clothes. The mouse doesn't eat it, it just destroys it. So there are all kinds of people. So this person came and he was taking great pleasure in abusing the Buddha. 1 hour he went on, the Buddha just quietly kept listening. After 1 hour, that man got exhausted. So he stopped. Gautam Buddha told his disciples, he seems to have got drained of energy. Give him some water to drink, some food to eat, so he recuperates and he can start again. Now, that person was totally astonished. He said, "Sir, what kind of man are you? Are you made of wood or are you made of stone? I told you so much. You did not even object. You did not even say, my dear fellow, what did I spoil of yours that you are treating me to these wonderful invectives today?" He asked the Buddha. Gautam Buddha said, listen, if you give a gift to somebody and that person does not take it, with whom does the gift remain? With the person who has given it. Similarly, all that you were giving to me, I was not taking. That was my choice. It's all with you. Now he was enlightened. It's not that an enlightened person is not mistreated. Everybody will be mistreated. But the enlightened person has a different attitude towards it. The enlightened person is not dependent upon the external circumstance. Is independent of it, is a controller of his or her own mind. So Sri Krishna says, Arjun, that person who is controlling the mind and who has subdued the senses, irrespective of the external situation. Irrespective. Not, Swamiji, if this became all right, that became all right, then I would. Irrespective of the external situation, that person would be considered enlightened.
All right. So hope you enjoyed this quick recap of what we have been discussing. In fact, there was a guy who saw a beautiful, idol of Buddha. Okay, so there was a big stone idol of Buddha, from that, and he said, "How did you carve it out from the stone? Piece of stone." And the sculptor said that, you know what, this piece of stone as it was, I could see Buddha in it. I simply took the part which was not Buddha. Similarly, this whole universe, God's creation, is working on us like a sandpaper. God is a perfect sculptor. He's taking away the things which are non-Buddha part of it, so that we come out chiseled and achieve our true potential. Right? So sometimes he snatches away the toys also. That removal of toys is also part of chiseling or the sandpaper treatment that God gives us from time to time. The key point today is, now you say, no, you know what, I find it very difficult to restrain myself from indulging in senses. So let's look at it in perspective so that we can drive home this point a little more. If we are all spirit souls here, now what do I need to do basically? So we come in contact with the matter. And when we come in contact with the matter, all this process starts to unfold where our senses, they fall weak and it goes for those objects, right? Now, how do we develop dispassion or detachment that our scriptures are talking about, right? How to do is the big question. And the answer to that is, here is a mother with 2 kids. Do bhakti, knowledge, and detachment will automatically come. Okay, detachment is a smaller kid, I don't know why, probably both are equal kids. But bhakti is like that pill, you take the pill and then you don't worry, okay, now the pill has become, mixed with my bile juice, and now this pill would have, mixed with my bloodstream and it will be going here and there. It will just happen automatically. You eat food and you forget. Rest of the job will be done. So if you do bhakti, the restraining of senses on all the magic that you need. Hatha Yoga, yesterday we were talking about burning the seeds. This is the way to burn the seeds. There's no other way. No matter what kind of austere practices you do, finally you'll have to do devotion, and that only will burn the seeds. Otherwise, it will come back again. You cut the grass will come back again because seeds are still there. So burning the seeds can happen only through bhakti. These kamanas of our senses are like that sarang madhumakhi. I spoke about that, right? Sarang madhumakhi, it starts chasing you. And when it starts chasing you, you find a water and you go underwater, it cannot touch you. But has the madhumakhi or that honeybee gone away? No, it is. The moment you come out of the water, it will start stinging you again. Same way, you can do austere practices, Hatha Yoga and all that stuff. But until you have burnt the seeds, it is, you have just cured the symptom, not removed the root part of it. And bhakti is the only way, because bhakti is anyway mother of the required dispassion or detachment that you need will automatically come. You will not give up something. Some people say it's so difficult to give up drinking and smoking. You ask people who became devotee. I have so many stories. One of my uncles, he would open up a bottle right in the middle of the noon. And miraculously, he became a Krishna devotee. Some connect he got. And he said, ever since I've fallen in love with Krishna, bottle and everything, I've forgotten about it. It's as if he has never drunk previously. How did it happen? He didn't have to force himself. He just lost interest. So what happened? He graduated out of the toy that he was enjoying. We spoke about the toys. We keep on picking up the toys that interest us. He graduated out of it. He just lost interest. That's how powerful bhakti is. And Bhagavatam also says, right, in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that you simply engage in devotional service of Vasudev, and then detachment, knowledge, all will follow automatically. Right? The easiest process is one is engaged in devotional service of bhakti, and you acquire the knowledge around it, convince your intellect, just engage in devotion, and everything else will fall in place. It's a Ramban or a silver bullet, so to say. No matter which path you pick up, rather than going through this austere paths, why don't directly go to the root and get it fixed once and for all. So that is the power of bhakti, Krishna bhakti or any Ishtadev bhakti that you can do. You will lose interest in things. Anartha nivritti will start happening all by itself. When you aim for the highest, Swamiji says that beautifully, the lower start falling away by itself. You don't have to put in a special effort for that. That is the power of bhakti. Now, if you continue to do that sense in indulgement, let's look at it. What does it mean? I'll tell you a quick story. Swami Vivekananda, when he was traveling, I think I spoke about that. It was when he was coming for the Chicago conference, he met a guy on the ship, and he said, "Okay, let's engage in a dialogue with him, and shed some light on some of the facts about life." So he said, "What are you going there for?" He said, "I'm going there to do my graduation, bachelor's." He said, "What are you going to do after that?" He said, "I'll come back and I'll do my ICS." Those days, in the days of Britishers, ICS used to be the exam, like we have IS these days. He said, "All right, then what will you do?" He said, "Then ICS, then I'll find a good match, marry a good girl." He said, "All right, then what will you do then?" He said, "I will do social and economic progress. I'll make money, get house, and that's what I'm going to do." He said, "Great. What are you going to do then?" He said, "I'll get kids, have kids." He said, "What are you going to do then?" I said, "I'll bring them up and get them settled." He said, "What are you going to do then?" He said, "Then I will have my provident fund and I'll retire." He said, "Then what are you going to do then?" He said, "Then I'll die. What else?" He said, "Is that your plan of your life?" Swami Vivekananda asked him, and then it was like, okay, is that what our plan of life is? We think that is the plan of our life, right? So if you look at it fundamentally, if you break it down, let's compare it with animals. What this guy did. Let's say his life had gone as per this plan, the grand plan that he had, right? Happy path plan. Assuming, let's see what did it eventually break down into, fundamentally. What did this guy do basically? On the process, he had to sleep, take rest, right? So even animals do that. Big deal. The quantum of happiness you get sleeping on a Dunlop mattress, a dog gets by, stray dog gets sleeping on the bare floor. There's absolutely no difference. It's not like you feel more happier. In fact, humans have to pop in a sleeping pills. Animals don't have to. They have a much more comfortable sleep. The other activity that this guy did was eating, right? He had to sustain himself along the way. Big deal. Animals do the same. They also eat. And the quantum of happiness that you get eating rasgulla, cow gets chewing on the grass, and cow does not even have to worry about getting diabetic or things like that, right? So it's all cool. Then what is the other activity? Procreation, right? He said, "I'm going to have kids and all." Animals do the same. In fact, they can do 10 kids at a time, okay? Humans, just the thought of it will freak them out, but animals can do that. Then what else? And then defending, of course. He said, "I have my provident fund." What do? We do have these are all way of defending yourself. Animals do the same. They use their teeth and claws. So these ahar, bhay, nidya, and maithun is termed in our scriptures as a glorified animal life. Nothing else. If we have just centered our life around sense indulgement, catering to our senses and doing these mundane activities, it's no different than from that of an animal. Nothing else. You might have helped your kids and maybe some relatives and done some potlucks, but that does not add a lot of merit to your life. Okay, so with that, I wanted to have a quick discussion. So Ambarish's example is given here, where Ambarish said he engages his mind in remembering the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, his tongue in chanting the wonderful names, forms, virtues, and pastimes, ears in hearing narrations, eyes in seeing the beautiful deity, and sense of touch in massaging the feet of devotees of the Lord. His nostrils in smelling the aroma of fragrant objects that have been offered to the Lord for worship, and feet in circumambulating the temple. His head in paying obeisance to God and his devotees, and he's gotten all his senses and engaged in that way. Now that is the very high state. Right? For people like ordinary people, we have to practice the art of Karam Yoga, where we start, aligning to those principles, subduing our senses, subduing our mind, and then God's grace, when it starts getting mixed with our devotion, the magic will unfold. So this is an example, beautiful example that is given. Now, before I get into this, so this animalistic life, we spoke about it. Enjoying senses is like, Maharaj has given a very interesting example. A bone example, a dog, it actually relishes a dry bone. Okay. So when we think we are actually relishing our sense objects, it is at our own expense. How? It is equated with the relish that this dog is having while it is thinking the juice is coming out of the bone, it is actually coming out from its own mouth, which is kind of a little, and that's essentially what is happening when we are going for sensual pleasures, which we think are very pleasurable, and that is the motto of life. Okay, it comes at a price, and this is the price basically. I'll get back to that example and take some questions, but then before that, I think we had some sharings to do right today. I want to give you some time, and then we'll come back to that. So over to you, Sandhya. Let's look at what she has to share. I think she has some exciting stuff to share today.
Urvi,
Urvi has to. All right, Urvi.
Urvi needs to be given co-host privileges.
All right, I'll give it to you. So by the way, Urvi is one of the, okay, I don't have the option.
It's been made.
Bhai, you have the trump card today, okay? You didn't tell anybody. Yes, please go ahead.
Got it. So today we have the community portal award giving ceremony.
Wow.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible and you're visible as well. And let me spotlight you as well.
And
yes, go ahead, Urvi. Wow, I can see some faces as well today.
Yes.
Go ahead, Urvi.
This is for the community portal daily summary. For creating the daily summaries and putting it on the portal, the award goes to Jyotiji, Ankurji, Sairamji, and Pallaviji. And
wonderful.
The award for the most creative posts and the most engaging posts. So we all know Aditya Shairis. So the creative post goes to Aditya, and Hema Didi, she's created the most engaging posts on the portal. And now we have active participants. So it's again Hema Didi. She's very actively participated on the portal, and she's always consistent with her posts and comments. And at last, we want to appreciate everyone who participated on the portal and given their valuable time there. So it's Nitin ji, Abhishek ji, Sandhya ji, Shyam ji, Kripa ji, Ankur ji, Sairam ji, Ryan ji, Rahul ji. Okay, then Hema ji, Shalini ji, Brinda, Jyoti ji, Aditya, Swati ji, Padma ji, Sri Ramya ji, Surya Prakash ji, Shefali ji, Anubhuti, Smita ji, Arun ji, Aswina ji, Pallavi ji, Payal ji, Shishan Raj ji, Swati ji, Sumedha ji, Sam ji, Sushila ji, Lokesh ji, Jitnayasa ji, Sushmita ji, Rajendra ji, Sam ji, and Priya ji.
Wonderful.
So,
I think it's roughly close to 40 people who are actively engaged, right? I see Urvi and everybody have taken the portal with storm. So all credit goes to Urvi and our young task force who have been showing so much of enthusiasm. And because of that, older people like me and Shyamji is not so old, I would say. They have been enthused as well. And they have been putting in comments, which is very nice. I think it's a great body of knowledge that we are creating, and some very interesting threads, especially around Shairi and some of those pictures and penning down thoughts around that. Hema has been, amazing, outstanding around that, and bhajans, and it's pretty amazing stuff that you're doing. So this time that you spend on Facebook and all, I would encourage you to start spending here. It is a great way to keep on revising, contemplating on the knowledge and helping along the way as well. So thank you, Urvi, for the initiative, and thank you the entire team. A lot of you have been pretty phenomenal, the way you are going about it. So thank you so much for that.
And I also wanted to add that people are often very curious to know that what other devotees think and how they, carry on their journey. So everyone is sharing their thoughts over there. So you can also ask, you can share your thoughts in that way. You can be connected to all of your classmates. And it's a wonderful platform.
Yes, you can encourage your classmates to come and join the discussion threads. Okay. That is a great way to initiate them in spirituality as well. And sometimes when you get a platform, interesting things can happen. There are a lot of things that we think but never get a platform to express or ask questions for. So those kind of things can happen as well. It can morph into something really big and beautiful. And it's a nice way to do seva for Swamiji and Maharajji as well, because this Tattva that you are getting, I hope, now that it is growing on you, you'll be able to appreciate this is phenomenal knowledge. No matter where you go in this world, you will not get this knowledge. You can experiment around, or if you've already experimented, you would be able to appreciate. Nobody will be able to give this knowledge with so much of clarity that Maharajji and Swamiji has given to us. And it's our extreme fortune that we are able to mull over that knowledge on a day-to-day basis and interact and contribute towards that as well. Yes. Yes, Urvi, anything else you wanted to add?
No, as of now, we just have this, and then we'll have more things in future.
Yes, we look forward to that. And thank you. Keep up. Let's give a hand of applause to Urvi as well. Wonderful, Urvi. Sandhya, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I actually just wanted to reiterate this, like Urvi, big congratulations to you for taking it to this level. And Hema, like she had her college exams right now. So she said that for 4 days, I will not be able to attend the classes, but I will do all that I've been doing on community portal. And I was like, these people are at another level altogether in terms of their dedication. Very inspiring. Keep it up.
Yeah, when I was at your age, I would find reasons and excuses why I can't do something. Okay. And you guys, you find enough reasons why you want to do it, how best you can do it. So that is pretty amazing. So I draw a lot of inspiration from you guys, to be honest. Okay, so thank you so much for that. You, Hema, Aditya, everybody are pretty amazing, right? Entire. So I would encourage rest of the participants as well. Please come, join the discussion, join the party on the portal. It's a great way to contribute as well. And it is said that when we receive a knowledge, it fructifies when we start sharing it, right? So this is a good way to share it so that the knowledge that we are getting, it gets fructified. Krishna is going to make it solid. That Gyan to Vigyan gap will start getting filled just because we are willing to share it now and not simply digest it for ourselves. So portal is a great way. Getting engaged in seva is a great way. If you can, do website design and other things, please fill out the tracker. We have like a lot of tasks going on right now where you can really help Swamiji's cause and mission. Okay, this session is a subset of that. Of course, the bigger picture is to get this message across and create content which really helps Swamiji along the way. So please sign up, let us know, and we have a team who can actually hold your hand and get you started on this path. And little seva, whatever commitment you can do, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we can pick up stuff for you that you can help us out with. And especially if you're good in website designing and stuff, we need help on that as well, at RKT level and other tracks as well. So please sign up your name, and it is going to be one of the most blissful, satisfying experiences for you getting engaged in seva. Trust me, it is very, very fulfilling. Okay, now we have 10 more minutes. Let's get back to our top. Anything else we had? Okay, I'll make quick announcements. Tulsi Viva, we have it from November 4th, right? It's November 4th. So it's going to be a fun out and out fun event. You can join us virtually, and you can be virtual Baratis or you can be in-person Baratis. You can have real food or you can have virtual food. You can have real fun or you can have virtual fun. All options are available. Okay, and it is going to be a really blissful experience. And all the ceremonies, Mehendi ceremony, I've even forgotten what all ceremonies are there. Kumkum ceremony, all will be done, and Krishna's Bharat is going to come with Tulsi Devi, and we are going to celebrate with grand pomp and show and fanfare. Okay, so do not miss out on that. In addition to that, if there is other information you want to share, you can post the link of Swamiji's tour back to India and stuff like that. Unless there's another announcement that you want to make, let's quickly do that and have a bit of a discussion as well. Yes, Shyamji, you wanted to say something?
That's all you said. Tulsi was in 3rd and 4th of November at RKT. And then Swamiji visiting India from, I guess,
24th.
mid-November. Yeah.
Yes.
The first of his session starts on 24th of November.
And whoever is in Gurgaon,
Friday.
Delhi,
Yeah.
I think he's going to go to 3 or 4 places. If you're in Delhi, Gurgaon, definitely do not miss it. Okay. Shyamji,
It's
I
in
want some
Gurgaon
picture along with
Friday.
Swami, okay? Maybe a selfie or otherwise. Please.
I will post that on all 3 days.
Please do.
I'll let you know.
Ankurji, Shyamji, Shefali, I don't need to tell her. She'll be there even before I tell her. Please do meet Swamiji. Click your pics and do avail that opportunity. Do not. And if you're in other centers, Bangalore, Hyderabad, wherever you can, do go and check it out, because he will take your spiritual journey to the next level. Okay. Now that you've gotten initiated, you're attending these sessions, that's great. But taking it to the next level, Swamiji will just pick you up and you'll realize you're flying high now. Great. Now let's get back to our session. We have 8 minutes. We can take some questions if anybody has, because we have a hard stop at 10 today for the book club.
Sandhya ji had posted the comment that Anarth Nivritti is a natural consequence of bhakti.
Anarth Nivritti is a natural consequence of bhakti. Very true. And you will realize it in different forms for sure. Right? People who don't add value to your life, things that don't add value, you'll start losing interest. They'll start falling off. They'll start losing interest till you. Feeling will become mutual, and all those kind of things will start happening all by itself. You'll become smarter in life. You'll learn how to navigate situations. All the things that you need to continue to progress, God and Guru will start providing you. All the things that you have, you thought were needed for you, but actually not needed by you, God and Guru will start cancelling those out of your life. And all the things that you already have, which are good for your spiritual life, Guru will start providing more of it to you.
And
okay.
Pragya ji says, when we taste higher bliss, lower bliss automatically falls apart.
True. And that is the concept we were talking about. See, we are used to the taste of our sense indulgement only. When you start offering it to or dovetailing it towards God, the bliss or the ras that you will get will be unparalleled, right? And you're talking about this concept. I think one of the participants was asking me about the propensity to have shed tears. Okay. It is also a natural consequence along the path, because as your antakaran starts getting purified and you start feeling that connect with God, that abhas or the trace itself is so powerful that your soul will say, I have never tasted something so deep, pure and profound before. And because of that, what will happen? The tears will flow down. So don't get surprised if it happens. It is a natural consequence of feeling that connect with God as you progress in this path. Maharaj says the more tears you are able to shed, the more your antakaran will get cleansed. So it's a great thing to happen. But don't get pride of those tears, because tears also have different forms and quality of it, right? So keep shedding the tears as much as you can. But till the day Lord Krishna himself comes and wipes your tear with his pitambar, the tears were not real. Okay, keep that at the back of your mind as well. That's what Maharaj say. But it's a great thing to do, because it is the surest, fastest, smartest way of progressing on this path. And if you don't get tears, put some chili powder. You know, one of the satsangi tried that. I mean, don't try that. But if it is happening, don't get disturbed. It is a good thing. A lot of people would trade those tears with a lot of other knowledge that they have. You know, this whole knowledge and everything is eventually to lead us to that state. So if it's happening, great. Cash in on it as best as possible. And if you look at 4.11, where Lord Krishna says, what is that? तांस्तथैव bhajamyam, ye yatha mam prapadyante, तांस्तथैव bhajamyam. When you shed a tear for him, he has to reciprocate, and he's also shedding a tear for you. Okay, so you are making God emotional as well at that point. Keep that in mind. This is a good thing, right? Okay. All right. Any other questions? We have 4 more minutes. I think we covered everything today. So tomorrow, by the way, we are going to discuss about the concept of attachment and worldly attachment, detached attachment, and some of these concepts we will get into, and why do we get attached to begin with, right? That's an important thing. Why we get attached, somebody might ask. So we will try to trace the genesis of attachment itself tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you in that session, but we have 4 minutes. We can take maybe if anybody has any question or anything.
इसमें आपने आज इतने प्यार से समझा दिया कि हम लोग और जानवर में कोई फर्क नहीं है खास. We are as well as animals, and little twig there will make us go beyond animals. So इतने प्यार से आपने हमको मारा है, समझाया है, बताया है, and I guess all of us will make use of it and try and be little more than that. I hope we all understand this point and make a life better. Radhe Radhe.
We are glorified animals. Okay, let's accept it. If this is all we want to do in life, right? So it has to go a little beyond that. That's what. See, to whom much is given, more is expected. In Spider-Man, it is said, right? With great power comes great responsibility. And even in Brahma Sutra, Ved Vyasa has said, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. That's the first one. Inquire who is God. If you don't inquire that question, you have led only a glorified animal life and nothing more than that. It's not possible, right? So we got to really seriously reflect on this question. Yes, Ashutoshi, you had a question as well?
Actually, no, I don't have any questions. If no one raising hands, so I thought I just say 2 lines. So, Guru,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Please go ahead. Your 2 lines are always worth it. Please go ahead.
मेरे गुरुवर मेरे गिरिधर प्यारे, दो एक हूँ ना सपने हूँ प्यारे. मेरे गुरुवर मेरे गिरिधर प्यारे, दो एक हूँ ना सपने हूँ न्यारे. गिरिधर कहाँ बड़ गुरुवर प्यारे, गुरुवर कहाँ बड़ गिरिधर प्यारे. गुरुवर कहाँ बड़ गिरिधर प्यारे. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashutoshi. Very nice. So today we end at this juncture. We have 2 more minutes. So just a quick recap. Sense indulgence alone, living a mundane, ordinary life, purely catering to our body and senses is no better than leading a deluxe animal life. And unless we dovetail our senses towards God, we are not purifying our antakaran. And unless we purify our antakaran, we will not have clarity of thought, joy, peace, bliss, knowledge. Everything is related to the quality of antakaran. If you're not happy, quality of antakaran is bad. If you're not able to grasp knowledge, quality of antakaran is bad. If you are not having a sense of joy, peace, your mind remains agitated, quality of antakaran is bad. Everything buck stops at us to cleanse it. And the technology to cleanse this is to dovetail it towards God, your senses and your mind. So that is the gist of the story. We will probably create a thread around it. Again, appreciate your enthusiastic participation around it. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We will get into the genesis of why attachment. Why do we get attached to begin with, right? And if we are supposed to get detached, right? What is detached attachment? And does it mean we become, we turn our back towards our responsibilities and relations, right? So we'll touch upon that concept tomorrow. With that, you can stay back for the book club. Any last minute, one thing? Yes, Surendraji, you wanted to say something before we wrap up?
Yeah, Sandhya says, can we make Seva, Sadhana and Satsang as new toys of attachment and spiritual journey?
Yeah, those will be wonderful toys. 3 S's, right?
Yeah.
No wonder the 4th S,
Seva,
Sandhya
Sadhana,
is
Satsang.
talking about it. So yeah, all 3 S's are good. Go for it. Yes, Surendraji, I think it's already time. So last, real quick.
Yeah, that's only the last minute thing I wanted to share with you, that from 13th of October, Modi ji has given us a Vande Bharat for Amb Andorra, right from Delhi to Amb Andorra. So for all meditation, for all linking to the God, Himachal is the best place.
Wonderful. Himachal is the best place. We'll continue that dialogue. So thank you, everybody. Over to you. Thank you, Surendraji. Over to you, Sunil Bhai and Ajay.
I know in this blessing,
Thank
wide
you,
blessing.
Bye. Thank you very
Sunil Bhai,
wonderful.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Shamji. How are you? Let's stop.
Radhe Radhe, Sunil ji. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, ji. How